The federal bureaucracy plays a crucial role in implementing and enforcing laws passed by Congress. Two key aspects of this role are discretionary authority and rulemaking authority, which allow bureaucratic agencies to interpret and shape policies in ways that can significantly impact governance. Discretionary authority refers to the power bureaucratic agencies have to decide how to implement and enforce laws. Because Congress often passes broad legislation, agencies must determine the specific details of enforcement. Examples of discretionary authority in action law enforcement agencies, the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation decide how strictly to enforce certain laws, such as immigration policies or drug offenses. Environmental Protection Agency. The EPA determines how to enforce the Clean Air Act by deciding which pollutants to regulate more strictly. Department of Homeland Security (DHS) has discretion in enforcing immigration laws, such as prioritizing deportations for certain undocumented immigrants over others. Why does discretionary authority exist? Congress cannot account for every situation in legislation. Agencies have expertise in their respective fields, allowing them to make informed decisions. It allows for flexibility in enforcing laws based on current events and priorities. Concerns about discretionary authority. Too much power. Critics argue that unelected officials in the bureaucracy wield significant power, potentially undermining democratic accountability. Political influence. Bureaucrats may be influenced by the President, Congress, or special interest groups in how they apply their discretion. Rulemaking authority refers to the power of bureaucratic agencies to create regulations that have the force of law. These regulations fill in the details of how laws passed by Congress will be applied in practice. The rulemaking process involves several key steps. First, Congress passes a law. For example, a broad legislative act like the Clean Air Act is enacted. Next, the relevant bureaucratic agency proposes a rule by drafting detailed regulations to enforce the law. Then there's a public comment period. The proposed rule is published in the Federal Register, and the public, businesses and interest groups can provide feedback. After considering the feedback and making revisions, the agency issues the final rule, which has the force of law. Finally, there's congressional and judicial oversight. Congress can hold hearings, pass new legislation, or use the Congressional Review Act to overturn regulations. Additionally, courts can rule on the constitutionality of these regulations. Examples of rulemaking authority in action: the Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, regulates the approval of new drugs and food safety standards. The Federal Communications Commission, or FCC, sets regulations on net neutrality broadcast standards and telecommunications policy, and the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, creates rules about insider trading and financial disclosures. Checks on bureaucratic rulemaking include congressional oversight, where Congress can hold hearings, reduce an agency's budget, or pass new laws to limit its power. Presidential control is another check, as the President can appoint or remove agency heads and issue executive orders directing agencies. Lastly, judicial review allows courts to strike down rules that they find unconstitutional or inconsistent with congressional intent. Chevron v. NRDC in 1984 established the Chevron deference, which allows agencies broad discretion in interpreting ambiguous laws. The Administrative Procedure Act of 1946 requires agencies to follow specific procedures when making rules. And the Congressional Review Act of 1996 gives Congress the ability to overturn agency regulations within 60 days of their enactment. The bureaucracy's discretionary and rulemaking authority allows it to function efficiently and adapt to policy challenges. However, these powers also raise concerns about accountability and the balance of power among the three branches of government. Understanding these dynamics is crucial for analyzing the role of the federal bureaucracy in policymaking.